Hey, there we are. Look, Rusty, we're live. Ain't you excited? All these people are excited to see you. What do you think, Rusty? We got a live audience here to see you and me talk about conspiracy. Aren't you excited? All right. So, who's ready to get this party started? All right, so first off, we have a super chat already out of the gate. We have Chris Money. Wow, what a great name. Chris Money says, "What up, Jake? It's my birthday and I'm feeling generous. Plus, I want to see how this super chat thing works since I've never done one before." Well, you've done one now, Chris Money. In fact, since that's your first time super chatting and it's your birthday, and we got Rusty here, we're going to sing you a happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Chris Money. Ba, 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 ba. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Your mom's a whore. Just kidding. She's not. Or am I? Happy birthday, Chris Money. All right. And away we go. All right, Rusty. You be a good dog, and I'll bring you back for a hot dog chow down. All right. All right, guys. Who's in the house? We got Lee, who's changed his name to Let's Learn Something New. He's in the house. He's also singing happy birthday. Uh, Kenny Homer in the chat says, "Good afternoon, Rusty." All right. Chris Money, also in the chat, says, "Thanks, all." You're welcome. Thank you for the first super chat of the afternoon, of the night, or morning, just depends on where you're at. All right, Mama Lula in the house says, "Hello, balls." Steve DeCipio in the house says, "Hi, Jake." Fusion Density in the house says, "I'm in the house." All right. Got a whole team of mods up in here today. Wonderful. Felipe Fortes says, "I triggered my mother-in-law with the flat earth." You know, they rolled it out for that reason. I'm almost positive they rolled it out for that reason. And now they've went back and covered their tracks to where there really isn't many channels you can go to and have a serious discussion about flat earth. You see, a lot of the flat earth channels you go to are controlled, they're shills. And then, of course, you have all of the mainstream media cucks and the science cucks who've made anti flat earth content. So just typing in the subject, flat earth, and trying to find a place where you can actually like see some pro flat earth videos, actual flat earthers talking about flat earth and what this place could be. They're harder and harder to find. You really got to do some work in order and use the search filters if you even want to find a pro flat earth video. And trying to find one that's not from a shill, even harder, even harder. So they've pretty well covered the topic and gate kept it to the point where having a serious conversation about it is damn near impossible. And if you try it, then they'll send people over to infiltrate your chat and try and turn it into a shit show. And people's minds have been turned off to it. As far as waking up new people, uh, most people have heard about it by now and they've made up their mind already. So you really got to be dedicated and you really have to find somebody who's open minded enough just to give it an actual try and look into the possibility of it being anything other than a ball. It's tough enough because most people have already made up their mind because they saw a news report that was anti flat earth. They heard from a friend who was making fun of it. There's people who just heard about it, they made up their mind, and there's nothing you can do, no video you can show them that's going to turn them around. And I've learned that I have to be okay with that. I have to be okay with the fact that people don't want to hear about that subject. And when they do, they're going to lose their mind and get triggered. And the chances of me flipping new people is slim. Even a guy like me who talked about it for many years and can present some good arguments, I know the challenges that it takes now just to try and open up a person's mind. It's tough. And then once they've done so, uh, it might ruin their life. It doesn't always work out for the best. And so you guys might have had your relationships ruined just by learning about a new subject and then talking about it. And so it's not just flat Earth. Now, one of the new ones, well, it's not new, but one of the hot subjects at the moment, which I'm surprised it's still this hot. Mandela effect is another one. You start telling people, "Oh shit, this thing used to be that thing, and now it's changed to this. And there used to be a monocle on the Monopoly guy, and now there's not a monocle. And it used to be Chick-fil-A without a K, and now there's a K. It used to be Bernstein Bears, now it's Bernstein." People are going to be like, "You're crazy." So they're not going to want to have a conversation with you about the universe being changed and all these little things being changed. They're just going to consider you a crazy person. So that's another one of these conspiracies that people talk about. And I'm not really a Mandela effect guy. I'll be honest. I'm not huge on the Mandela effect, and I'll get into that more. But that's another one that seems to have been rolled out that people will latch onto, and then they'll just repeat it. And whoever they repeat it to looks at that person as an absolute lunatic. And so you have to wonder if that's the reason it was rolled out, is so that when you go spouting off that the universe has been changed, you didn't just misremember something. There weren't perhaps a few different types of logos. No, you remember this certain thing and it changed. Now, there's a few of them I can't quite explain. For instance, when I was a kid, I'm pretty sure they read the Bernstein Bears. But changing Bernstein to Bernstein, does that actually affect my life? No. And could I possibly be misremembering? I guess. Or was somebody at my school just mispronouncing it? Perhaps. So when it comes to stuff like Bernstein being Bernstein, I remember it being Bernstein, but am I going to dedicate time and effort to something that I can't change or do anything about, and something most people don't give a shit about? No, I can't really do that, and I won't really do that. So when it comes to talking about a subject like Mandela effect, you guys might have noticed I don't talk about it or discuss it that much, because there isn't really an effect that has affected me uh, enough so to where I want to dedicate a ton of time and energy. And I've also seen some of them actually get debunked, where people are just actually mistakenly remembering something wrong, or there's people just straight up lying and making up bullshit, and people are just believing it. And so there are a few of these Mandela effects that you might consider weird, that you remember it one way and now it's another. However, some of them actually have been debunked and have been proven just to be bullshit. And so when it comes to little tiny things changing, like somebody said, it was always Jiffy peanut butter. And I'm like, I don't know. I remember Jif peanut butter. I don't remember Jiffy peanut butter. And they're like, no, the universe changed. It was Jiffy. I'm telling you. So then you can get in an argument with people about whether it was or was not Jiffy peanut butter, or whether it was Jif. And so I actually have found myself getting into like arguments with people who believe, in a lot of the same things that I do, that nobody walked on the moon and that the earth isn't a spinning ball. But then they fall into this Mandela trap and they want to argue with you about it. And so you can see that it could be quite divisive. if you remember things one way and someone remembers things another, and instead of saying, well, maybe perhaps we both just don't remember properly, now it's become, no, the universe has changed. So the people who believe in Mandela effect and subscribe to it the most are convinced that it has to be the universe which has changed around them. They can't possibly be wrong, you know? So I've never had a Mandela effect that really mattered to me enough to where I'm like, for sure, man, this, I woke up one day and this entire thing was different. And I know for sure that it wasn't like this before. The universe had to change. I'm not ready to make that leap that for sure the universe changed because Bernstein and Bernstein Bears uh, can't quite make that leap. So I want to hear from you guys. If any of you guys in the chat have a Mandela effect that really affects you, and you know for sure that it was one way and now it's another, or if you think it's bullshit. If you think that Mandela effect is some sort of psyop rolled out by the government, and from what I found, there are shills, there are Mandela effect shills, just the same as there are flat Earth shills. There are flat earth shills who have drove the topic into the mud. They are the stars of the hit piece documentaries. They're the ones that'll be the first to go on the news and tell you that you're surrounded by an ice wall and that the sun goes around in a circle. And so the controlled opposition, as far as the flat earth goes, has taken the subject and drove it into the shits to where, like I said, trying to have a serious discussion about it is damn near impossible anymore because of what they did. And so I noticed with Mandela effect, almost the same thing has happened, except that it's still super popular and it still gets a lot of views in the search results. I hadn't looked it up in a while, and I found there's a bunch of people making Mandela effect videos and coming up with new ones every day. And so to me, it almost seems like not only was it a rolled out psyop, but now people are just milking it to get views and just making shit up just to see who's stupid enough to fall for it. All right. Fusion density says Mandela is BS. Faith says I have so many that actually affect me. It makes me feel crazy. Faith says my mom isn't the mom I grew up with. Well, that's definitely different. At what point did she change? Or do you not, or do you remember? Kenny Homer says I had a Mandela effect change back one time. Oh, so it flip flopped, and then when you noticed, it quickly it flip flopped back, right? Like it was Chick-fil-A with a K, and then one day the K was missing, and you were like, "What the fuck?" And then you looked again, you were like, "What?" And then it was back, and you're like, "No, no way, dude!" Right? I know the universe changed that shit. Rose Bellman says, "Welcome, everyone. Welcome, Rose Bellman. Welcome." Uh, Heathen for Fun says, "Fruit of the Loon logo having a cornucopia is the only one that gets me. I learned what a cornucopia was from the logo." Yeah, that brown basket thing. Yeah, I feel like I remember that too. And so now there isn't one. Yeah, see, shit like that, I feel like there might be like multiple logos, and through the power of the internet, you can just scrub away some of the other old logos and then present the new logo. Here's one. And now we have. Da, 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 da. All right. So my mom likes Sally Field, and apparently it changed to or she thinks it's Sally Fields with an S. So that's what it used to be, Sally Fields with an S, and then it changed to Sally Field with no S. And so I asked her, Mom, who's your favorite actress? And she said Sally Fields with an S. And I said, No, Mom, now it's Sally Field. There is no S. She's like, What? Then we pull out the Mrs. Doubtfire videotape, and sure enough, it's Sally Field with no S. She's like, Oh, and that was it. She didn't like trip out. She's just like, Oh, okay, I was wrong. See, so an older person will typically just accept that they probably remembered it wrong. They don't trip out about the universe being changed. So my mom's favorite actress, who she always called Sally Fields, when she found out it's Sally Fields, she was just like, whatever. I guess I remembered wrong. So some people will just quickly accept that they remembered it wrong, and other people trip out and assume that it has to be the universe that changed around them. So it's interesting, the varying different reactions that you get. That's how I feel like it was rolled out for us to test, uh, basically, what people will blindly believe, that they with what they see on just the internet or what they hear from someone on the internet. And I'll be the first to admit there are some of them I can't quite explain. I remember Bernstein Bears, but uh, am I going to like stake my life on it and be like, I know for a fact that's what it was, and there's no way I can be wrong. The universe changed around me. I'm not going to make that leap. So I typically uh, don't talk about it a ton because it's one of those things that you can't really do anything about it, you know? So there's nothing that you can do or say that's going to change uh, anything, change it back to the way it was, or or fix the universe. And so, really, what it comes down to is you spouting off about it and then looking like a crazy person to most people. And so, most of these topics that we talk about are gate kept so well to the point where it's impossible not to look like an absolute crazy person discussing any of these topics, whether you want to have a serious conversation about it or not. So they basically have gate kept a lot of these fun subjects, and they've done so with shills who basically have the channels that get biggest and they get the most views and the most subs. And so when you go to look up these subjects, you're bottlenecked into these shills and these gatekeepers, and you end up joining their cult communities without even knowing it. And so you might already be watching some shill gatekeeper channels and not even know it. And then when guys like me come out and point these shills out, then they, of course, attack me as being divisive. They turn it around on me and say, no, I'm the agent. I'm the liar. I'm the infiltrator. So basically, it's a wacky job to try and even expose this shit or to even want to do it. You have to be insane to begin with. All right, let me read some of these comments. Uh, Felipe Fortes says, I wonder if the Mandela effect is a beta test psyop with the ultimate aim to rewrite entire swaths of history. I wonder if Tartaria got the Mandela effect treatment and perhaps other civilizations. Hey, man, when it comes to history now, I just throw my hands up at it like, pfft. Anything that happened before I was born is suspect. Pretty much anything that happened after I was born is also suspect. So when it comes to history, and whenever somebody especially says, well, what happened millions of years ago, anytime someone starts talking about anything that happened millions of years ago, that's when you really want to start belly laughing. Even thousands of years ago, I don't care what's even in written history. A lot of that's just bullshit too. But when people start talking, even before recorded history, they start talking about millions of years ago, or even worse, billions of years ago. Well, billions of years ago when the earth formed, you see what happened is all this shit coalesced together in the Goldilocks zone just perfectly. And then monkeys turned into people. The end. Uh, Steve DeCipio says people just mixing shit up, all the VA double X's and fluoride reacting inside your body. Okay. Faith says mom has different eyes, wrong favorite colors, all sorts of things happen before they ever turn CERN on. Okay, so you think CERN did something? I remember hearing about that a long time ago, several years back. So you think turning on CERN somehow changed this place and actually changed your mom? Wow. So we have somebody who's so deeply Mandela affected right here in the chat. And then there's people like me who can't find anything that really affects me. And I just kind of throw my hands up at it like, I don't know what to do with it. XIO says, hey, Jake. Hey, XIO. All right. Johnny Nevermind says, I had a personal Mandela effect where I made a video with ex-girlfriend. I replayed it, and the stuff I said, the jokes was gone. Huh, or that's just basically could just be data manipulation, electronic manipulation of sorts. There's been times where I've been making videos and I've started to have like my phone just start wigging out, acting weird. And I've had like when I save a video, it'll like cut out certain audio sections. Or the worst, everything's fine. And then I upload it to YouTube and they'll move like an audio section and screw up a video. I've had that happen. I made a video about Fight the Flat Earth Craig. And then I uploaded it to YouTube and then it moved a fucking audio, or no, it like took away an audio section where I was talking. And it was like, what the hell? Like, that was fine when I up. So sometimes there's electronic manipulation. So you can't always just consider that you're Mandela affected if there is a problem with the electronics or it's just malfunctioning perhaps, or like me, you might think that the government is specifically manipulating your electronics and screwing with you in that form. Then that isn't a Mandela effect in that case. So Chris Money says perhaps all the minor changes that were made that people know of as the Mandela effect could be the beta test run for when they really crank the CERN shit to a new level and the Matrix goes haywire. Now, I will admit, shit does seem different nowadays than it used to be. Just my general feeling of life and the way things work is different. But then I have to think, well, maybe that's me changing. But there's a lot of people who agree uh, it just seemed like a different place back then. Maybe back in the 80s, 90s, you might just have this completely different feeling in the way you lived and the way you looked at the world. And now you see it in a certain way and you think, man, something evil must have happened. They must have opened up some sort of evil portal and a bunch of demons entered this place and screwed it up. Or you can just say, no, a bunch of evil elites and government assholes screwed this place up. Uh, so it's hard to say for sure, one way or the other, what the hell happened to this place when you don't really know because we're kept in the dark and we're just regular people. And so if they did have some sort of evil machine that can open up an evil portal to hell and let demons in. Well, they don't have to tell us about it. And if this certain thing, that we've heard about, can do some evil shit, then perhaps that may have changed some stuff. I don't understand how, but then again, uh, none of us would understand how the hell something like that would work if they did have it. And why would they change all these little insignificant things, like Bernstein bears? Why would they change all these little things, to where some of us don't even really notice? It doesn't affect us at all. Um, so, like I said, when it comes to Mandela effect, I see people still talking about it and coming up with new ones each day. And for the life of me, I can't really make heads or tails of it. There's a few of them that I remember being one way and they turn out to be another, but I can't say definitively that, yes, the universe has changed and I think it's due to this or that. I'm not ready to make that leap that I know for a fact that the universe changed. Saul Rosenberg says, I remember when Dave Chappelle wasn't a clone of Bokeem Woodbine. Yeah, if I had to guess, that's who I think it is too. Here's a good one. Felipe Fortes says, I remember when movies were original and Hollywood didn't seem weird. Oh, wait, that's when I was blue pilled years ago. Yeah, exactly. When we were kids and we saw movies, they were awesome. Like when I was a kid, like all the movies about going to space, you couldn't wait to watch them. I mean, even before I was born, Star Wars was a huge deal. And then I remember like when I was growing up, shit, there was a bunch of like movies where like kids go to space, like Flight of the Navigator and God, there's these other ones I can't remember the names where like kids would like build a spaceship and go to space and shit. And then the alien movies, we would fight against the evil aliens and stuff. And then Independence Day, that movie actually started out really good and entertaining, and then turned into just a pile of horse shit towards the middle and the end. It just turned into a giant stupid shit show. But the first 20 minutes or so, 30 minutes of Independence Day was actually entertaining, and they had you on the edge of your seat, like wondering like what these things were going to look like and what the aliens were going to do, and then like then it turned into a total shit show. Like Will Smith knocks out an alien with one punch. Welcome to Earth. Boom, he like knocks out this alien that can like use its mind to kill people. And Will Smith just punches it once and knocks it out. Oh, so when we were kids, that shit seemed funny and awesome. But now, yeah, when you look at it from the other perspective, that these guys are evil sellouts and puppets, completely controlled by elites above them, right? Who actually are the real billionaires, the ones who actually really are making moves. And so when we're younger, we think, oh, it would be so fun to be an actor. It would be so fun to be one of these famous people. And now it's like I purposely don't go down there to Hollywood and I purposely don't want to give my talents to any of these evil overlords to use. I purposely don't want to try out to be in any movies or television shows. And so my perspective has completely changed. I'm sure a lot of you guys would feel the same. Maybe when you were a kid, you wanted to be a movie star, you wanted to be famous. And now when you look at what comes along with the price of fame, you know, the act you have to put on. and the shit you got to do behind the scenes to stay famous, the rituals that you have to partake in order to keep that status. And then at any time, they can kick you down the ladder and humiliate you and end your career. And that's part of the ritual too. And so I completely have changed my perspective on wanting to be famous from when I was a little kid. And I purposely know that I can't ever sign away my soul or give anyone the ownership of my intellectual property or my comedic bits, right? Let's see. Steve DeCipio says, "Don't let government propaganda fool you. Don't fall for leaked documents." And he put leaked in quotes, of course. Uh, Spirit stable. My impression is that they're making my connection unstable. I've destabilized the connection with my Trump impression because it is so damn impressive. Let me tell you something, people. I can't just tell you something without telling you that I got to tell you something. And I'm going to tell you something right now. The Trump train is going to be back on the tracks, and we're going to be running stronger than ever. All right. In 2024, the Trump train will be back on the tracks, and we're going to be running on pure Trumptricity. All right. I have my own new type of electricity. All right. It only costs a fraction of the cost of regular electricity. All cars are going to be run on Trumptricity in the future. All right. And in 2024, you're going to pay one flat rate for your Trumptricity. All right. I'm going to save people millions. No, scratch that. I'm going to save people billions. All right. When I install Trumptricity. Trumptricity is going to in 2024. I just made that up. I just made that. Some of you guys are probably thinking, really? Is he going to do that? Well, I'll vote for him. I'll participate in the next rigged vote. Screwing up my stream because my Trump impression was so good. You know what, people? They're trying to censor me everywhere. That's what they're doing. My Trump impression is so damn good that they're trying to censor me across the internet. Everywhere I go, they're trying to cancel me. They're trying to censor me. That's because Trumptricity is going to change the world. They don't want you. They don't want you to be powering your automobile with Trumptricity. All right? So they censor me. Smash that like button if you're still here and you're still having fun. All right. I saw that they just weakened my connection and we lost several viewers. Hit that thumbs up if you're having fun. Damn, we were running at like 170, and then I jumped into the Trump impression, and then they weakened my connection, and it got all shitty, I'm sure, on your end, and now it's down to 130. So they basically just stole away 40 viewers. That's how they do it. It's a Mandela effect, I tell you. Let's learn something new. Who is actually Lee? Says the elites love watching you, Jake, and pissing me off. Yep. Yeah, as you guys remember, the last stream actually got wiped out. So the last time I was live, they struck down the stream, not in midstream, but shortly after the stream ended. Within a few hours, I got the notification through email that the stream was taken down for medical misinformation. And I tried to explain that I am a comedian and not a doctor, and that I did not give away any sort of advice medically, but they rejected me. They rejected my claim. And so I was unable to post over here for a week. So I went over to the backup channel. Ugh. Saying it again, it's saying my connection's unstable. No bueno. So I went on over to the backup channel and posted over there. Can you guys hear me? Is this coming in on your end? It says connection unstable. Please wait. Okay. Yeah, on my end, it says my connection's unstable. Please wait. We're reconnecting. Okay. My bad. All right. So they took down the last stream over here. So we went over to the backup channel, the Jake Gibson channel. So we did a little bit of content over there, but now we're back over here again. So this is my first live stream in like 2 weeks. All right. I don't know about you guys, but it seems like there's less restrictions for the boogeyman disease. And since the weather is heating up, there's a lot more people out and about and enjoying the outdoors. And I noticed that there are some people who are still choosing to wear their muzzle, their ritualistic face diaper, still choosing to wear one, even though there's no restrictions or anyone even enforcing it anymore. So there are people whose lives have been permanently changed. I'm sure you probably know someone, a friend or a family member, who now wears a muzzle everywhere all the time, even with no restrictions. And it's become part of some people's lives. Some people have had this affect them so much so that you're going to see them from now on like this, right? Imagine being tricked so hard that for the rest of your life, you're going to wear this new garment for the rest of your life until you die. There are people who are in hook, line, and sinker that they're pretty much in until the day they die with wearing the ritualistic face diaper. So in that instance, in that case, they've done their job well. If you got people walking around even with no restrictions, no one enforcing it, choosing to wear one of these in the car by themselves, choosing to wear one of these while they're out jogging by themselves or riding a bike by themselves, well, seems they did their job. All right. And of course, it might have just been the test run, the boogeyman disease, spiky ball. We say spiky ball disease. We don't want anyone to think that we're talking about an actual disease. This is a comedy routine, and we're talking about a comedy disease, the spiky ball disease, which isn't real. We all know spiky ball disease isn't real. It's a not real disease that we're talking about, right? Because it's a comedy routine, and the spiky ball disease is not real. So there should definitely be no reason that you would want to go get a jabberoo for a spiky ball disease that doesn't exist, right? Because we all know it's a comedy routine. So I definitely wouldn't recommend that you take a jabberoo for a spiky ball disease that doesn't exist in my comedy routine. So that's how I have to that's how you have to tell the truth these days. You have to mix in the truth like this. Hi guys, you don't want to get sick from the made up boogeyman spiky ball disease that I totally made up, right? So, what you definitely should not do is take anything in syringe form into your body to get rid of the spiky ball disease that I just made up. Okay. People, you guys are like, okay. Telling us we were about to go get it, dude, until you told us. No, I know you guys are smart. If you're here, you're pretty much not going to go get the pokey poke. And see, I have to use these words because I don't want to get another strike. That would be bad. So I have to use these words like the pokey poke, the jabberoo, the blabba ding dong. Hey, you definitely don't want to get the jabba labba ding dong for the spiky ball disease that I just made up off the top of my head. Okay. All right. And you definitely don't want to get one of the Rooster McBooster shooters. All right. Rooster shooters. All right. Don't go get one of those Rooster McBooster shooters. People are like, what the hell is he talking about? So you got to use code lingo on YouTube. You got to use code lingo if you want to get around all their rules and regulations. That's how I've stayed afloat on YouTube for so long. I use code lingo. And even when I use code lingo, sometimes they still take down the stream. All right. What else did I want to talk about? Oh, yes. If you guys remember last year around June, they lightened up on restrictions and mandates and whatnot. And so then a few months later, they tightened back up again. So at any point, they can always tighten back up again with restrictions and mandates and do it all over again. And it doesn't even have to be the boogeyman disease. Oh, no, they don't even need a boogeyman disease. So check this out. The next time around, they can say, we need to lock everyone down because climate change has gotten so bad that we've reached the point of no return. And the only way we're going to have a chance of staying alive and fighting climate change is for everyone to stay home and work from home. And you're not allowed to drive your vehicle except once a week. And you have to drive an electric vehicle. They can put perimeters in place to where you're not allowed to drive your gas cars anymore, right? And then they can say we need to lock you down and you're only allowed to work from home in order to fight climate change. So at this point, they can lock us down with something that doesn't even have to be about your health, but the health of Mother Nature, the health of the earth. So in the future, expect more of these, except they can come up with different reasons. It doesn't always have to be a boogeyman disease. All right. Food for thought. Let's learn something new, says very true. Slave rescue hound says climate change, and then he has a laughing face emoji. Oh, I don't, I don't think that there's really a such thing, as major climate change as far as like us humans changing the climate the way that they claim. I think it's the government manipulating the climate. The government can totally manipulate the climate, but us people driving our cars, we're definitely not the culprit for any change to the climate. And also, they use the word climate and change because it used to be global and warming. Remember, it was global and warming, and then they changed it to climate change. Why would they do that? Well, that's because they can't really prove that it's a globe, and they can't really prove that it's warming. So they went with the much safer climate change because the climate does change year round. At least where I live, it does. Not everywhere. But if you live on the equator, you don't get much season change, of course. But for most of us, you have some sort of seasons, and the climate changes from winter to summer. So in some areas, it'll go from being, snow on the ground during winter to being 90 degrees and hot and humid in the summer. And you can be like, wow, the climate changed. Like, yeah, those are the natural seasons. The climate changes throughout the year. The climate can change from one day to the next quite drastically. Hell, you can get in a car and drive from one area to the next and have your climate change quite drastically. But simple things, as far as like going to the ocean and seeing that it's still where it's been since like hundreds of years ago. So if you look at old pictures of the ocean line and then you look where it's at now, it hasn't actually risen. So, for instance, when I go to Santa Cruz or Monterey, ocean towns a couple hours from where I live, I can see old pictures, classic black and white pictures of the ocean line and where it was at. And it's still there today. And so there's old lighthouses and stuff that haven't been overtaken by the rising seawater that are still there from over 100 years ago or whenever the hell they were built. Old black and white pictures showing the beach that you can walk to right now, and the water still goes to the same spot and recedes. And so they can't prove that our oceans are rising. They can't prove polar ice caps are melting. They tried to pull that shit for years, but they can't really prove it. They would have like a polar bear hanging out on like this chunk of ice out in the water. They're like, the polar caps are melting. Look at this polar bear. He has nowhere to go. So they can't really prove any of this shit. And so instead, they went with the much safer climate change. And in the future, you bet your ass they could use climate change to limit where you travel, and they could even force you to pay extra taxes, carbon credits they want to call them. Like, oh, you used this much electricity, then you drove your car this much, and then you took this vacation and you were on an airplane, and so we're going to take all this into consideration, and you owe us for your carbon footprint. A lot of fun stuff to look forward to in the future, huh? Joseph Dockett says we're lied to about everything. Yeah, pretty much. And they start us young. They start us really young. Your parents will put you into public school, oftentimes. And we all know public schools are prison camps and mind control camps, disguised as educational centers. And they get you started early that the earth is a ball and you're spinning out in outer space. They get you hooked on outer space and they up there for you to see, so you can see all the land masses that we're allowed to know about. Then there's that one down there at the bottom, Antarctica. Then you raise your hand and you're like, what about that one Antarctica down there? Oh yeah, that's scientific research, and people don't really go down. It's too cold and inhospitable. And so yeah, all the countries signed a treaty that they're not really going to go to war or fight over that, and that it's for scientific use only. And so all the countries are friends down there. Oh, okay. So they teach it to us early what shape they want us to think it is, how much land, real estate they want us to think there is. All right. And then there's even that chunk of ice supposedly down there. All right. They want to control what we think about that. Then once we live underneath their rules and regulations, that's the system you go along with. You go along to get by until one day someone challenges that notion that the earth might be flat. Then you figure out not only is the shape of the earth up for grabs, but your whole damn universe and everything around you up for grabs now. You don't really know what it is or how it got there, what created it, how big it is, how far it goes. And these are the real questions. What shape is it really? How big is it really? How far does it go for real? What is the sun? How big is the sun? What is it made out of? Is it still the same sun as is 20, 30 years ago? 100 years ago? Is it still that same exact sun? Some people say the sun's changed. What is the moon? See, these are questions that I ask and I don't pretend to know the answers to. And that's a difference between the kind of researcher I am. I'll admit I don't know what the hell the sun really is. Uh, I can't tell you what the moon is, but what I can tell you is I know for a fact nobody walked on the moon and that they've lied about it. I can prove that to you. So I come from a standpoint where when I don't know something, I don't bullshit people. For instance, I'm not going to tell you that you live inside of a moon crater and fill you full of bullshit. And I would hope that you, as the audience, you don't go falling for these rabbit holes and falling for anyone's story just because they say you live in a moon crater and they got a stupid cartoon map to show you. I would hope that you're smart enough at this point not to fall for these stupid traps. A lot of us fell for the AE map, the pizza pie map with the ice wall. Come to find out that's the shill map. The daylight hours don't work. The sunset and sunrise angles don't work. So then once you ditch the pizza pie map, then you're stuck wondering, well, what the hell is this place? Are you telling me we live on some kind of a rectangle? Well, then how the hell does that work? And it can be like throwing your head into a brick wall because you can't quite figure it out yourself, and you don't have the means or the financial ability to do all the experiments you might want to do, travel where you want to travel. And as far as travel's concerned, it looks like they're doing their best to limit us in every way possible to where we can travel and when we can travel. So it wasn't long ago you could get on a plane and fly anywhere, willy nilly around the the supposed globe. But now, shit with regulations and such, they can take that ability away from you at any point. All they need is another boogeyman disease, and they could shut it all down for good. XIO says, Jake, serious question. If you could go in space and see the real shape of the Earth and it turns out to be a globe, will you be able to accept that? Oh, you mean if I can see the entire thing as a ball? Sure. But the thing is, going to space is fake. So we've proven that. Like, I would hope you guys have done enough research out there to prove that space travel's fake. So I would be pretty sketched out of anyone wanting me to get on a rocket ship. I would be pretty sketched out about that. And I would hope you would be too. I'm not stupid enough to be like, I'm a flat earther and I'm going to go to space because I know it's so flat that when I get up there, I'm going to see how flat it is and I'm going to laugh at everyone. And then you actually think you're going to get on a rocket and then leave the atmosphere and pop out and then be in outer space and then turn around and then look at it and be like, holy shit, I was wrong. It actually is a globe right now. Whoa. Yeah, right. Not in your wildest dreams is that going to ever happen. That's why they have a bunch of shills go to space, supposed space, right? That's why they had William Shatner go to space. That's why they had like Michael Strahan go to space on Jeff Bezos' penis rocket mobile. So space is controlled, And there's not ever going to be any possibility that they're going to let someone like me get on a rocket ship. And if they did want me to get on a rocket ship, I would be afraid that they're going to Mad Mike me, right? They're going to just blow it up. So I'd be afraid that they would be just trying to kill me. Like, let's get this flat Earth guy who's been calling us out and proving us wrong. Let's get him on a spaceship. Then we'll send it up there. Then we'll blow it up and be like, oh, poor fella. We had a complication. So I wouldn't be so quick to want to jump on a rocket willy nilly. All right. And there's people that say, oh, well, one day the public's going to be able to go to space whenever they want. And then you're going to know that it's not flat. And you're going to be bullshit. That's like saying one day we're going back to the moon, right? Didn't they go to the moon in 1969 through 72? And now they haven't been back since. But they keep saying they're going to go back in like 4 or 5 more years. We're going to go back to the moon in like 4 or 5 more years. Civilians are going to be taking trips to Mars in like 5, 10 years. No, they're not. Now, maybe 5 to 10 years, you might see some bullshit missions to Mars. That definitely is on the agenda. I could see sheeple buying into some bullshit human missions to Mars. Imagine that we go to the moon in 69 through 72, lose the ability to go back, but then somehow go to Mars with people. So they have to go back to the moon again and fake that one again in order to actually make the Mars thing even seem believable. But they could skip going back to the moon and just go right to Mars, and people would buy it. All right, the numbers are back. All right, we had a little bit of glitching and connectivity issues earlier, but now looks like we're rolling strong again. Got 174 people watching. Do me a favor and smash the thumbs up if you're here and you're having fun. Yeah, Faith, they say they're going back to the month like every year or so. At some point, they say they're going to be going back to the moon. And even Trump has pushed that going back to the moon shit. So I don't understand how anyone can still be on the Trump train when the dude literally fast forwarded the jab into people's arms and he totally pushes the fake space narrative. So I don't understand how anyone could be on the Trump train. What they've done with Trump in that letter of the alphabet, the Q-tards, what they've done with Trump and the Q-tards is they've turned them into actual conspiracy theorists. I usually don't like to use the term conspiracy theorist because it was made to attack people who are talking about actual conspiracies, as if the only way a conspiracy could ever be talked about, as if it's just some lunatic with his theories. No, you can actually discuss the actual uh, conspiracy going on. And the term conspiracy, of course, comes from to conspire against, as in evil people planning to do evil things, bad people planning to do bad things. And so the word conspiracy theory, conspiracy theorist, of course, was thrown into the mix to paint us all as lunatics, right? And then they even stepped it up with like tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. Um, but if you look at the theory, see that stuff is conspiracy theory. If you believe that Donald Trump is sent by Jesus, and that what are they saying now, that JFK Jr. is going to come back and save everyone, and that they're going to put an Ellen and Tom Hanks in jail on TV, or whatever the hell they say is going to happen these days. If you're gullible enough to fall for that, that is an actual conspiracy theory. All right, a total conspiracy theory that's deeply rooted in bullshit and can't be proved at all. So if you want to talk about Donald Trump being sent by Jesus and JFK Jr. coming back to save us and stuff like that, to me, that's way more retarded than talking about the shape of the earth being something other than a spinning ball. However, there are people out there who are right wingers who voted for Trump and they're bent out of shape that their last vote in the last rigged election didn't count and they're upset about it. So since they're still upset about it, they're willing to even make up these theories where you got to be hopped up on hopium that JFK Jr. is going to come back and do a TV broadcast, and they're going to throw Tom Hanks and Ellen in jail. And so I look forward to that. They always tell me, just you wait, just you wait. Oh, it hasn't happened yet, but just you wait. It's gonna. Just you wait. And there was a lot more Trumpsters back when he was president for the first 1 or 2 years. There was a lot of Trumpsters. And I remember anytime I would talk negatively about him, I would always get a bit of backlash. Not a ton, but I would get a good bit of backlash when I talked about him in any sort of negative light. If I brought up Trump and said anything negative about him, even stuff that's provable, like, hey guys, he's pushing Space Force, there would be people like, that's because he's going to prove that NASA ain't real. He's going to prove NASA's lying. He's going to expose what happened on September that one day. No. So in the first 2 years, he was so popular. Whenever I did talk about him, I'd get a backlash. But then by the last few years, people were starting to see through his bullshit. And now that he's been gone for a while, most people have realized that he was full of shit. And the stuff he's said since proves he was always one of them. He was never on our side. He's never going to be on our side. And then to the contrary, the far right, the people who are super conservative and hopped up on the hopium, they actually say that no, Trump's coming back and he was sent by Jesus, and that they're going to arrest all of the bad guys and throw them in Guantanamo Bay. So I've heard a lot of just absolute quackery, wackery, buffoonery out of that camp. And so what they did was they turned the far right, the most hardcore Trumpsters of all, they turned them into tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists. I didn't think there was a such thing. I thought that the government made that up. Tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist. I thought that was made up to discredit us people who talk about conspiracies. No, conspiracy theorists are real. They're the Q-tards. All right, let's see. Chris Money says Trump and JFK Jr. planted secret Space Force ninja robots in our orbit, and they monitored the election so they know exactly where the votes were changed. They just waiting for when the and I guess you're going to continue. How are you going to leave us hanging like that when you talk about space robot, ninja robots, secret Space Force ninja robots? I spotted someone from my Goatees parody channel who was being a bitch, and so I just got rid of her. Bye, Allison Bleb. I saw you being a bitch in my chat. on the Gatekeeping channel, and I didn't appreciate it. So you don't get to partake over here in the Jake the asshole channel. Bye, Allison. Mr. Mike says, waiting for the punchline. Yeah, I started reading his chat, and then he says Trump and JFK Jr. planted secret Space Force ninja robots in our orbit, and they monitored the election so they know exactly where the votes were changed. They just waiting for the, and then he puts continued in in brackets basically. Now I'm waiting for him to like continue. Stuck here in suspense, wondering what he's going to say. Dave says, or Dare says, "Yo, Jake, just turning in. What's up? What's up?" I appreciate that. My stream is so good they keep having my stream gets up to like 170 people. They start and then I lose like 50 people. Yeah, see, they just stole another 20 people, but right there. They don't like me having a voice. Every time I start to get close to 200 people watching, they start wiping away people, and then it buffers, and then I look, and then there's 30 people gone. Here is not the best, and the things I talk about are controversial. So I think it's a combination of my signal not being that great here, and then they mess with me on top of that. Rose Bellman says, let's start over. I don't think that would help. It'll still be the same signal. Well, I got most of what I wanted to talk about out at least. All right. So in the future, we can expect there's going to be more boogeyman diseases coming our way. They're going to want to jab you, stab you to protect you from these boogeyman diseases that are going to be coming your way. So you can also expect more lockdowns coming your way. And I feel like they did a test run on us with the spiky ball disease. They test ran their programs, and what they found out was people when they're at home, they will watch more TV. They'll be online on social media a lot more. People will change their entire work habits and focus their business to be an online business. And so certain companies shut down their brick and mortar stores and went and turned into online companies. And so you can expect more of this in the future. I already test ran everything to see what people would do. So in the future, they're setting everyone up for a world where you work from home and you're always online in some format or another. And video game culture is, of course, making this more acceptable. And it's fast forwarding the idea that it's going to be cool to hang out all day long online, subversed in an online reality. And then with the metaverse, what they're going to do is create an entire reality online that is basically better and more fun than your real life. Because in your real life, you're going to be restricted and not allowed to do anything, basically, and it's going to suck out there. And so they're going to make the online reality more fun than your regular life. And for some people, playing video games is already more fun than their regular life. So essentially, they'll create the metaverse where you're going to hang out with your friends in a virtual bar, for instance, and have a virtual drink. Go to the virtual bar and watch a virtual concert performance. Hang out with a group of virtual friends, and you'll have your uh, virtual apartment and places that you have. Imagine paying rent on a virtual apartment or a virtual venue, or paying for virtual items. Well, I want to have this cool hat, and so I'll pay an extra $15 so that I can have this cool hat on my virtual character so that I look cool in the metaverse, right? So imagine you're going to be paying virtual rent and buying virtual items for your virtual character in this virtual space that you enjoy more than your actual life. We're on our way there. Then once they get you there, once they get you enjoying this metaverse, alternate way of living, once they've got you, and of course they can a wire straight into your body, right, connecting a cable into your head. You guys remember in the movie The Matrix? You remember in the movie The Matrix when Neo had the cable coming out of his head and he was inside the pod. So they're inching us step by step, one step closer to being inserted into the pod with the cable stuck into your head. You no longer have to worry about living life. You don't have to get up and do anything. You don't even have to get up to go to the bathroom anymore. You don't have to worry about a job or any of that. We'll just have you live a perfect, wonderful life forever and ever through the internet and digital form. You're going to live the most wonderful alternate internet reality, far beyond, far superior than anything you would ever live in this terrible, nasty earth that you humans have destroyed. See, see how they can talk you into, so you don't ever have. They just keep on wiping away the people who are watching. So it doesn't look like they're going to let me have a clean stream here. Shit. Sorry, guys. I know the quality sucks. We'll just go ahead and wrap it up. So until next time, this is Jake the Asshole. Thanks for being here. Have a great day.